Good evening. It is Tuesday today. So, I have had a long day today. And my arm is not a lot better than it was yesterday. So, clearly I truly offended it greatly. But never mind. Such is life. I've done a little bit of work, not on the lace making, in general, and at some point you may see the fruit of my labour. Do not get excited, it's not that interesting. Right, so where are we at? We need some of these and some of these. Right. little man. Little man. Hello, little girl. Dear me, is it all suddenly puppy time? Why? Why can't I do this? I know what I meant to do. Oh dear, did I forget? Did I, the horrible owner, forget? I did, didn't I? I did, I can tell. There's a thing in your face. It tells me I said I'd feed you at tea time and I didn't. That's because I've only just eaten. I'm going to be right back, guys. Sorry. There we go. All back. Hopefully. Anyway. Alright. Got an itch, hang on. I do get itchy ears, hang on. It's because I get eczema in my ears. Right. Hey Silver of Dragon, how you doing? Did you sort your lace 8 question out? Fair enough. Fair enough. You were asking on the Facebook group about how to put in lace 8, how to hang. I think it was 6 pairs open and 1 pair worker. I know exactly what you mean, and it is really not easy in lace 8. There are lots of things in lace 8 that are just that little bit harder than they should be. I guess in a way it would depend exactly what you wanted. But the answer is it should be possible. One thing I found really awkward is that if you make a freeform loop, for example, so you make, say, a kind of N shape, well, you're supposed to be able to click on it and drag it and reform it so you can kind of make it a little bit more pointy or whatever. But it's not very good at that. And when you do it, you seem to do it by chance rather than by intention. A lot of the problem I found was that if you make like the freeform curve, so you can make, a rainbow shape and then duplicate it and put them all nice and close together, but still have individual lines. One of the big problems is that if you had a triangular start, it's very difficult to make a loop that has a kind of loop around the top in the way that you want, but that also has straight edges. Well, Rose Ground itself has got a magic doodad in lace 8. Hang on. Poke. Click. Poke. So with any luck, you can see that. That's my lace 8. Let me zoom in a bit so that we can see a few things. I don't think you can see my mouse pointer, but if it helps, nor can I. There is here at the top a rose ground shape, so you can plonk them in. But if you wanted to do, as I said, if you were then trying to have a 6 pair loop over the top, the easiest way to do it is to do that, make one of those, then select it, find the top to try and pull the top back out. But as you can see, depending on the shape of it, it can go a little bit wrong, and you want to bring these edges in a bit and make it more pointy. Well, that doesn't really work. So what I would actually suggest is either labeling it, so putting on, I know, 6 pairs open, like that, and marking 6 pairs open, and then having straight lines. So you would kind of, draw a line like that, and then select it and then duplicate it. Hang on, take that off a sec. Duplicate it and then move it so that it's really close. Let me read that again. Hang on. A working page. A working page. You mean just a list of instructions? think it's one of those things is that I'm struggling to kind of understand what you're after. The answer is okay, because you know I'm more than happy to spend some time helping you work out and help create what you want. Another thing you can do, of course, and this is quite an important thing, is make something in Paint, GIMP, whatever, and put it in as a picture. So, for example, open, that one? No, it's not going to be that one. It's going to be that one. No, not that one. I really need to learn to label them better. Open. That one. So here, I took a picture of... Hang on. Not looking at the right thing. Hang on. Well, you kind of can. So, for example, if I go back to my lace 8, where's it gone? There it is. Right. If I go back to this, thank you for that, dog. Let's say we were going to do a rose ground, right? Well, you and I both know that it's not as simple as that stupid little picture, right? So what I would do is I would do a freehand. Sorry, I would do the rose ground in the middle. Let me put my snapped grid shit on. Dog, go away. I'd do a rose ground. No, I know it's not that simple, but bear with me a sec, right? So you would have... I need some dots. Hang on. It's more complicated than this, don't worry. Dots. 1, 2, and then dot and dot. Bear with me, right? So that you then show that you have a pair coming in there, a pair coming in there, a pair coming in there, a pair coming in out there, right? And obviously they're two, so you would arguably kind of join them together. Bear in mind this is really crude and not ideal, but we'll go with it as a test subject for a brief kind of explanation. So you've got two pairs that come in, and then on each of these, where's the select tool? I really hate the fact that it doesn't form to loads of UI normals, so we want a twist on that, and we want a twist on that. I didn't really want that as one piece now, did I? And of course that's not showing the twist. What part of add a twist to that was so hard? You've not shown them. Thanks a lot. No? You're not not showing it, are you? Why are you not showing it? Oh, for fuck's sake. I do find that one of the problems I have with Lace 8 is I find it very difficult to tell what is going on, because there it's adding twist lines, but they're not twist lines at the same time. You and I just want tiny, half minuscule twist lines. I don't want thing the size of a TV aerial stuck out the top of it. But what I do need to do is I need to change these and move a few things. So bear with me. Oh, I've changed my mind. So this goes more like that. And that's fine. We'll do that. And then we'll add So right, this little extra bit was me not cancelling it in time. Oh, piss off. Why is it this thing does not understand, as I say, as someone who spends her life with computers, the fact that this does not conform to standard UI kind of things really does get on my nerves, because I find it difficult to select things. I find it difficult to make it do all the right things because it's not doing the right things. So for example, I've got to click on this and right click on this, otherwise it doesn't do the right thing. But if it gets stuck with things and you can't see what's on your cursor, because if, for example, it's not going to do it now, obviously, but if I select that and I paste it, sometimes not all the bits are showing while you paste it, so you paste it in all the wrong places, and it just drives me up the wall. Anyway, so if I do more dots, hang on, I need 2 dots. No, I don't. I've got all my dots. I need to move my dots. Hang on. I need to move my dot. I need to move my dot. Right. And I need another dot. I need a dot here. And I need to move my dot. Move. Move. Thank you. So, let's delete that. Can't be bothered with that. Or that. Right. So, no, I don't want to click on that button. Oh, and by the way, I'm a queen of clicking on things I don't want to. So, click, 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 click. And so, obviously, it's not quite lined up, really, is it? But those feed into those, so let's move those slightly then. So that kind of wants to be there, but it's not. So really it's... See, there's a good example. I've highlighted the whole thing, but I've only got 1 dot, and I don't know which of the dots it is. I'm pretty sure it's that dot. So I want to turn off snap into grid because you're getting on my nerves, and I actually want trying to work this out in my head, and my brain's really not braining right now. It's kind of there, like that, yeah. And you come in kind of there, like that. I just hate the fact that it doesn't kind of continue what you were doing. Now I've not either dot, but there you go. And some things don't show up on recording that show up in person, which doesn't help. So that's a bit more of a rose ground, right? And then you can do, you can put, obviously, you'd need to do another one that goes from there to there. I don't want the dots on it, go away. Because I need the snap to grid back on first. There you go, so dot to dot to dot. Oh, I missed with that dot, but you know what I mean. And then, oh, I didn't mean to click on it. Oh, for goodness sake. I didn't mean to click on it. And then obviously dot to dot to dot, like that. And I missed that side as well. I'm really good at that. But then you've got the, you can put the twist marks on it. So if we select your tool, you can put your twists on to do twist, 1, go. See, it's in twist mode, but nothing shows it's in twist mode. So, select that. twist, twist, click, escape, select, right click, get out of that somehow. So you can kind of do it as you found how. And then obviously to get, let's pretend we've done them all and they all look the way you want. You can then, let's get rid of this crap for a minute. So you've got tidy. I know it's not tidy. Hang on. Select duplicates. I don't know, 5. Yeah, I'll do. Right. Only still didn't do it properly. Okay, nice. Let's see if I can pick you. And pick you. Right. I know it's a bit wonky, but at least it doesn't look too bad. So let's pretend we're happy with this. What you can do is go to print it, and obviously change the grid to something ridiculous. Oh, for goodness sake! Stupid internet farted, so. And now my ads are running. Oh, for goodness sake. Okay, so hopefully you're back now. Right, so what I was going to say is you can, of course that's not what I put in my clipboard, thank you for that, computer. Copy. I'm going to guess that no, you don't do it that way. Of course you don't do that way. Let me do that, save as, PNG, whatever. Right, save that. What you can do is in drawing tools, you can also add a picture. So from my downloads directory, don't tell me you don't do PNGs. Oh, you do, thank goodness for that. Right. Oh, that's really blurry. That's really nice. So maybe not quite that big. There you go. Because bear in mind I have blown this up quite a bit. But, you know, you take a picture of a rose ground. And then here you have your bit below it. So you can either now take a screen grab by removing the dots in the background. She says remembering where the options to do that is. It's in here somewhere. It's somewhere in here you can turn off the background dots. I just don't remember where they are. Oh, there you go. If you did tiny dots, for example, they disappear. So then you've got rose ground, and you can, if you're on Windows, you can do a screen grab and highlight the bit you want and paste it into something. Or you can achieve the same by going to your printer window, telling it to print at 1 inch or whatever, and having a nice big picture and taking one from here, which is sometimes a bit easier because you can set out with loads of text. So you could put numbers on here and instructions. Because if you think about it, if you go back here, if I go to drawing tools, you can do text. So for example, go with 8 point and do 1. And no. See, I want to select it. It's just not got any intelligence, and I can't believe this thing has not had an update in. Well, I can believe it hasn't had an update, but change colour to black or something. Anyway, 1 you can do smaller, to be honest. Edit text. Are we going to have smaller? 6. You can let me have 6. There you go. Okay. So it doesn't make any difference. But you can put your numbers in, and then over to the left, you can make a big block of text and sort of do 1, cross twist, pin, cross twist, right? 2, cross twist, pin, cross twist, 3, etc. Have your instructions. And then as I say, you can go back to you can either grab it from here, or you can actually make it part of your pages for your design. So you can have a front page. So if you know the length of your page, oh goodness sake, dog! There are days when I really could taser the pair of them, but you can easily, obviously making it 1 inch makes the instructions really big, but you can kind of do a bit of a mixture. So for example, if I saved that picture out, hang on, I need to shut something up in my ear. I've got something in my ear that's, because I'm autistic, is now driving me mad. That was fine a minute ago, but right here, right now, needs to shut the heck up. Go away. Right. Oh, it's better. Quiet. When I'm thinking, I like some noise, but I can't have sudden noises, and some idiot rambling on about something that's completely unrelated, especially if they are giving instructions, really throws me off because my brain starts trying to follow them. So if you're doing this, you can then obviously, for example, as I say, you could screen grab this to get the size you want. If you can't quite get it big enough in the normal design window, then you go to paint, you paste it in. Hang on, right, paste it in, save it as a thing. I know you can't see it, don't worry. Save it as right. save it as a thing. You just have to believe me that I did. And then go to home, for example. Cancel that because I don't want you doing that. I want you to select things. So then you can select all of this stuff and go, right, I'm done with that. Don't need that. Do insert a picture. Click on the thing. Downloads. There's the picture, and obviously it's really huge now. So let's make it smaller. Right, smaller, a lot smaller. A lot smaller. Still a lot smaller, please. Oh, I know the problem. Right, let's pick that up. Right, so now I can change it so it's a bit more normal. And then you can have this as your front page, so that when you go to print it and save it to a PNG, you've got that as your front page. Obviously, you would spend a bit more time getting it to size and stuff, but that you can then put a actual design further down. So let's go to file, no, I want to open, and we'll pick something, square one, yeah, that'll do. Right, so I know there aren't any raised ground, bite me, it just happens to be something I can splat on the bottom. So you scroll down a fair bit, hit paste, plonk it in, go to print, and obviously then 1/2 inch is slightly over excessive, so we'll cancel that, change the grid to something a little bit more sensible. I know 2mm, it's a bit small, but it'll do. And go back to home, cancel out of that because it's being annoying. Zoom back in a bit to see where everything is, because, well, that's definitely a problem. And now I can't see anything. Where did it go? Has it just eaten my entire design? Oh no, there it is. As I said, I struggle with this piece of software sometimes. So we all know that a piece of A4 paper is bigger than this, so I'm going to grab you, and I need to move you down to what would be the next page, which puts you down here somewhere. I said select and move, if you don't mind. I know that was slightly ambiguous in your opinion there, computer, but I'm pretty sure you'll find no, it frigging wasn't. So let's move you down. You're just not doing it, are you? What the hell is wrong with you? Can we just move it? As I said, I really struggle with this, and stuff like this is what drives me mad with it, is that it just doesn't, or it doesn't draw it, or it doesn't, you know, there's a whole load of things that for no reason it's not doing, and you can't see why. Tell you what, we'll do it this way then. Fine. Copy. Cut. Scroll down a bit. Paste. And you have to be careful how you scroll, because I've noticed these numbers on the left hand side for the window do not update if you get it wrong. So if you don't scroll right, if I do this, the numbers on the left aren't scrolling. You have to drag this bar on the right hand side over here. Otherwise, this is a ruler on the screen, not the ruler on the page. So we know that that's going to put it on the next page. So let's do that. And if I go to file, print now, I should get 2 pages. I missed by a bit, but you get the point. If you scroll down far enough, that'll be on page 2, instructions on page 1. So if you know what the grid is and you go by the ruler, you should be able to place it without screwing it up. But be aware, it will hate me. I mean, I really thought 21 centimeters would have placed it on the next page. But as you can see, if I scroll, the ruler doesn't change. So I know I need to move it down. So let me try this again. So I need to, I know, let's put it down here somewhere. I know it's a bit excessive, but let's put it down here. Right. Cancel out of that. File, print. There you go. So now you can have, you know, instructions page 1, pretty picture, page 2. Does that help? Does that make sense to you? Or have you disappeared? Because sadly my internet killed you. I think my internet must have killed you. What a way to depress someone. Right, let's go back to making lace then. Let's get back to what I was doing. Nah, I see. You missed my vague explanation, but let me then show you back to this. If you... let me go back to the window. So, it's a very piss poor effort, because I didn't really put a lot of time into it. But at the top, I've got a bit where I've made instructions. Obviously, these are a little bit vague and pointless. And then obviously further down, which would be the next page by using the ruler, I've put my pattern. That way, when I print, I've got instructions for page 1, pattern on page 2. Is that what you wanted? Let me look at your picture again then, because I'm clearly missing something. That's what the link you've given me, not that I can read it as you understand, but I see a lace diagram with a picture below it. Okay, I did mine the other way around. I did a picture and the explanation underneath it. Correct. And mine does have lines between the dots. Hang on, let me go back to lace 8. So I know it's a bit small and skanky, but if I go back to my drawing tools and I zoom in again, because I did it quite small, and for example, let's say I group them all and make them black, because so that we can see them. You're gonna like highlight them at all? Oh no, of course I made that picture, didn't I? Oh, I made it a picture. I did originally have all the dots and everything was black, Let me see if I can change it quickly in paint. Hang on. So, for example, you know, you could make a picture like this in paint, right? So I took the picture out of, I took the rose ground thing that I drew in lace, added my little picture of a rose ground. I appreciate this has no artistic flair whatsoever, but then, hello, welcome, that is my life. So you can change all the colours so that it's like you can actually see them. Look, you can make, no, not there. Make them, you know, nice and dark so we can actually see the pretty pictures. Like that. You could also paint the little lines in and do yourself some lines so you can sit there and you can do your twists like this. You don't tend to do any there, so, you know, as I said, I am not an artistic talent. There's a reason for that. But you've got all your little twists in it. You've shown how it, you know, where all the strings come in. So they come from those two pairs. They join with twists and do a, you know, do there. And you do like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can put, as I said, you can put numbers on things. I just put 1 in the middle because, well, I was trying to show you how to put numbers. But you can do all of that. You save it as a pretty picture. You then come here and hate on Lace 8 for being a crock. You then import the picture that you saved, which was in downloads, that one, and of course it's the size of a mountain again. Hang on, make it smaller, but not maybe too small, so you know, because that's still only 4 centimeters. Remember, I'm really zoomed in, so if I zoom out a bit I can make it a little bit more reasonable, kind of thing, like this. So, you know, put some vague instructions with it. And then, on the print sheet, for your pattern, you've got, the lines just aren't very visible because they're yellow. So, please bear with that. But you've got the picture, the lace instructions, and some written verbiage of choice. And then your pattern. I can't see how that differs in effect. I mean, obviously you'd do nicer picture and you'd spend some time making your lace picture look, well, less cack. But I'm really struggling with the difference between that and the picture the link you sent, which of course is opened in bloody OBS just to be annoying. No wonder I can't find it anywhere. I really don't see the difference because you can colour it in Lace 8 kind of like how you want, or frig it in paint a bit. I mean, it's not like I can make this any bigger, really. Yeah, I mean, I see sort of pinholes and twists and the only way you can truly do that would be using paint, I think. I don't think you can do well enough with Lace 8 to make the dots kind of show any better. So, I think I know what you mean now, but I need some dots. Hang on, I need to be able to see my dots. Hang on, huge dots. There we go. Make them bigger. Let's move over here a little bit. Right, so the only thing I can think of is still uses kind of the stupid tool. But if you had, I'm trying to think, so you've got, I'm trying to think of the way the bob pairs go. So this comes into here, it goes to there. It then goes to there, comes to here. You can draw between dots, but I'm trying to make sure I follow. There's a reason. I have terrible hand-eye coordination with a mouse for some reason. Despite the best part of 50-something years almost playing with one, I am shit at accurately clicking on things. I have the amazing ability to not do what I want, so that then goes... That goes to there. To probably there. Now I know, you see, if you try and smooth it out, it gets really upset. Now you can edit them. So if you click on the end, you can then edit them to force them around the dots. So, for example, if I put a rose ground in the middle, dot. No, I want it in the middle, you arsehole. No, I don't want that. You're supposed to be the middle. And like somehow that was supposed to be there, like that, which is wrong, but that's fine. Bear with me, we can work with this. So that came in, goes more to the middle round a non-existent pin. This comes in round here, a bit more like this. This then comes out again. You see it's bending round on itself the wrong way. I want it to go down, not loop round that way. I want it to bend round that way. It's not going to. Hang on. That a bit. Bring it round. No, you see that just brings it all the way over there. What? Hang on. Oh, you can't see laser. Oh, for fuck's sake. Sometimes it just doesn't draw it properly. And I can't tell easily what... There you go. I'm trying to draw... It was telling me you could see it, but it wasn't actually drawing it, just to be really helpful. There are a lot of drawing issues with Lace8 where it doesn't. So, for example, if I move this ruler so that it makes a bit of a headway, so that 0, 0 isn't this top bit up here, the lines dry all over the screen, outside the windows, which technically shouldn't be possible, and it doesn't capture it on camera. So there's a whole load of issues with this. But I'm trying to get these to kind of bend round more like what I want, which is proving harder than you might think it should, because I'm trying to get that there, and then that maybe has to come back in a bit. So you can kind of adjust them a bit, but it is harder than it looks. But you can do it with this, but to be honest, I'd get a pen, because I've got one somewhere. I'd get a Wacom's tablet style pen, because you can pick up cheap ones. Get a Wacom style pen and do it so that you draw it on a tablet and do it in Paint, because this program is just shit for stuff like that. I think I know what you mean now. You want to draw, rather than a pair going to a pin, or two pairs going to a pin and two pairs out, you want to see, more like I've done there, the path it would take round a pin. I know that the above is not actually accurate, but does that kind... So what I would do, not, as I say, I haven't got a pen here, so I can't show you. It's in the other room, actually. But I would suggest doing it in... Getting the dots down, saying Lace8 for scale. Get some dots down so that you've got some nice dots to work with. So, for example, if I do Paint, hopefully you can see that. Yep, you can see that, right? So I would... Where's my Paint on now? Goodness sake. Right, Paint. I would now, in this, draw a line myself, badly, but I would, using a pen, kind of go, I want to go round there, up here, round to that one, and then That then goes round to this one to come back out to that one to go back down over here. And then obviously this one comes around here and round that way. And then, I don't know, down here and round there and backs over there to this one and work it all out doing this way. So obviously this one goes round that way, round this way, round that way. Brain farts. Probably down that way, I'm guessing, round there. But then there's too many here. Brain farts. Anyway, you know what I mean, right? I know where I'm going. But it is that kind of thing, is because you can use smoothing tools within Paint and Paint Shop Pro and GIMP and the like. I would strongly recommend the ability to do so. As this goes around there like that one, and then this one kind of comes in, goes around that one, and then comes down here or something. I have no idea. I've lost track. I can't do rose ground when I'm thinking of it like that. I've just made one, or I've got one in front of me, and my brain cannot. I know where it happens, but trying to draw it when you've got my inability to draw. Seriously, I can't draw stick men. Watch this. If I can draw a stick, well, I can do a stick man on paper. If I try and do a stick man with my mouse, I am really concentrating here. It looks like someone with a real... I mean, that's pretty good for me. I am no artist with a mouse. I do have a pen tablet. It's not attached to this computer. But I do have a pen tablet. I am better. I won't say I'm any good, but I am better. I.e. it doesn't look like a child having a fit, did it? But you can draw it, and then once you draw it on, say this, so you get your grid by doing dots on your paper, you then put it in here. You can always delete some dots if you don't like them, and then import it into Lace 8 to go through and... Where's my Lace 8 window? There it is. To then paste it on, where the instructions were. She says, having lost those. They're over here somewhere. Paste it where this would be. So you then paste instead of the little lines like this, you have the flowing happy lines, which of course you can't do very easily. Because although this is freehand artist, it's actually not. They're only ever straight lines, which is a bit shit. You can't just draw on it. But you could then take your picture from Paint. I know this is the ugliest picture in the world, but if I save it in Paint, I can put it in here. So, for goodness sake, item. If I zoom out, there's my picture. Delete that. Insert my picture. So there's my really ugly picture. But you've then put, you put the dots in, you zoom out, you capture your dots, put them in, draw your lines around it on it, put your lovely little twist marks in black because no one wants them not in black, and then you write some written instructions to go with it. This is my staff, this is a rose ground, order of the 9 dots, the 8 dots around the thing are slightly optional, but you need to have done those 2 first. Then you do the top one. These can happen in either order. Then do a bottom one. These 2 can happen in either order. And then off you go to do the next thing, right? And then here's the pattern of choice with it on. Does that answer your question? I know you can't see Lace 8 again now, but because I've just shut my window. But does that answer the question? I know how that goes. I have not been sleeping well. I know it's not the greatest thing, but then I'm not really a good teacher of it because I really struggle with the application because it doesn't conform to any of the UI standards of a computer. So my brain absolutely repels it because all the things that should be true aren't. and it's got so many bugs, and I've written to her about all the bugs, and she goes, and every single time she hands them on to her developer, who goes, I don't understand, or she doesn't understand it if I try and talk in developer speak, and so between them nothing ever changes. And I actually bought that program quite a few years ago. I bought blackout windows for that very reason. Yeah, I bought blackout blinds to put on my windows for that very reason. I could sleep at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it would be dark in my bedroom. Because I'm more of an opportunity sleeper, because like on Saturday I was still up at 4:30 in the morning, and as I was going to bed, I can wholly recommend them, and Amazon have some fairly cheap ones. Absolutely recommend them. Absolutely, utterly recommend them, because then you don't get the, oh, the sun's come out, or, you know, if you're really tired, you can go for a nap in the evening, you know, in the afternoon, and it will be dark and you will sleep properly. So, like I say, I was up at 4:30 on Saturday morning last weekend, and I went to bed as it was getting lighter with every step up the stair. Went to bed, I slept perfectly well because I have blackout blinds. I will. You do well, my friend, and I know that we are divided by language, but I'm glad I helped a little bit. I'm sorry I'm not able to show you it looking professional and gloriful, but you sleep well, and I hope that you can take what I've tried to show you and work with it and make a better job than I did. But you can always ask me silly questions. I'm a geek, I can work everything out in the end. My bobbins are twisted together now. There we go. Interesting. Oh, I know why that might be. Hang on. Hang on. Where's that? Really? Is my computer being that annoying again? Hang on. You didn't pick a 2 up. Interesting. So I've got a thing that checks for a version of something and it managed to miss beta 2. But it's already looking at beta 3. Maybe I need for you to check more often then. Okay. Strange. Murphy's Law also states that my computer had a bit of a paddy last night, and I don't know quite why. At about just as I was literally about to go to bed, it went, I can't find anything on the internet. The internet seems to be down. Well, you're not, because I'm streaming still. I was just about to close it down. No, there's no internet out there. I can't look any names up. You're telling me Google's name serves now? Oh, they must be. Oh, no, terrible. Really, computer. So the fact that I can ping them, but you're telling me you can't find any DNS. Really? Mm-hmm. I don't think so, computer. I think you'd be lying. Oh, no, I wouldn't do that to you. So, there I was till 1 o'clock this morning, fighting my computer trying to get the DNS to work, because I'd need it in the morning. And I probably would have even less patience for it by the following morning if it was still doing it. So I've got a feeling it spent the whole night, even though it could do DNS, in part going, well, I'm not really sure, because the thing I've got that monitors that it's alive didn't come back till 9 o'clock this morning, even though, of course, it was perfectly fine. Because, well, I was at work, I'd logged into work and I was doing work things by then, and all of that requires DNS, so, I'm sorry, but, well, funny it was working for that. And so, yeah, I don't know quite what the hell was up with it, but no, my luck, that's when Beta 2 dropped, so, but I don't think it is. It might be, but I don't think it is. But it'd be about right, because last week for some reason it died. I needed a reboot, because I've got a machine that does. I've got a Pi that does it, and last week, it's just one of those kind of like, it's up all night, it's up all day, it spends weeks, months minding its own business, being happy. And then the one time it's supposed to have done something, it doesn't because it died 2 seconds before it should have done it, So I'm really not quite sure what caused that, but clearly it was in the mood. Bit long down here. My arm's still not quite right from the chopping of the bobbins. It's this rolling motion that really hurts at the moment. Lots of other things aren't so bad, so I can finally, move my arm around without feeling too much. It's uncomfortable, but it doesn't hurt. Whereas rolling hurts. Rolling actually hurts. I don't know quite how I did it this bad. But like I said, it just reminds me of the time I decided to do sit-ups with my mate. And we must have done, that night, best part of 500 sit-ups. But at the time, it didn't hurt. It really didn't. And I know it sounds slightly unlikely, but if you do them in small batches of, you're a bit out of breath and a bit, I'm done now and then they do their turn, well, you recover, so you do a bunch more, so you recover, so you do a bunch more. You'd be surprised, actually, how many you can do. And it was only the next morning, trying to get out of bed, that I discovered how bad an idea that had actually been. And I need to do something with my sock. There's something wrong with my sock. And this is so autistic of me. It's twisted round a toe. It's like if you've ever had a toe that's bled for some reason and your sock sticks to it. Well, it felt a bit like that, except I know that my toe, well, I'd like to think my toe wasn't bleeding, and I was right, it hadn't been. But basically, it got a bit of a twist in it between my toes, and just, my brain was overloading, man. I know that's so autistic of me. Never mind. How did my parents not notice? How did they not notice? I mean, but of course back then you didn't want to admit that your kid was wonky, so, you know, that was probably more accurate. Was they were deliberately trying to pretend that I wasn't. Thank you. That was the dog. Kicking the light, because apparently the dog bed needs to move halfway across the sitting room floor to be just so literally. I mean, if you got a micrometer out, I'm not sure if she could have made it any more. Oh, no. Apparently it's not quite dead central. Yeah, better now, she says. It's right in the middle of the room now. Absolutely slap bang in the middle. As I said, I do love my dogs. I'd love them even more when they're asleep. Hang on. Pee in the wrong hole. Yep. You are supposed to be there. Like that. So let me give you all a little bit of a tug, because I need to make sure that you're all nice and snug. There we go. Sorry, my brain's just catching up about how immeasurably funny it is that my brain freaked out because my toes were touching my sock. But they always touch your sock, brain. Yeah, but not like that, they don't, it says brain. This is what I hate about bobbins. Ah, joyous hands. Ah, Bezos. I'm going to press my button, for it is stick time, and we've been running an hour and a half, and I don't intend to do it too often, so it is... It's not going to work now, is it? You bugger. I had a thing set up. I had a thing, and it didn't do it. You horrible piece of poo. Let's try again. Oh, I know why it didn't work. Hang on. I might know why it didn't work. Hang on. Let's go to that and that. Okay. See if this works. What do you mean no? I really do hate this computer sometimes. How can you not? See, that's what you should have seen. For some reason, it doesn't work properly. Anyway, I made a stick thing using the video. There you go. I have to work out how to make it work better. Just an old email. Let me quickly check something, guys. Curious. Interesting. Hey, Quixana! I'm just looking at the fact that Microsoft sent me a mail because apparently bastards have been trying to get in my account for the last couple of days. And frankly, from everywhere but where I live. I mean, as an example, hang on. I'm not sure this is going to work well, but basically, as you can see, you know, yeah. And what's more interestingly is that they seem to have let some people in, but it doesn't tell me what they did. So yeah. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Microsoft. Your security is really shit. Goodness. Well, fortunately, I pay through PayPal, so they can't have got my credit card details. The worst they can have is the old password, really. But what is slightly infuriating is, of course, I got a text message first. Well, a text message, I mean, I know that, like a lot of them, they have it for MFA and stuff. But when the first thing you hear is a text message, your Microsoft account, and of course half the details are obliterated, and it's a short URL, so I mean, the short URL on it was, hang on, hang on. Where's it gone? Yeah, basically someone else might have accessed and then very badly masked my email. So obviously my email starts with Liz. So it says Liz, Li***Z. No @ visible. 2 letters, 2 stars, and the last 4 characters. Recover at aka.ms/alcs. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't like short URLs where I don't know when they're going. Yeah. But I've reset my password by not using any of their direct links. Because, well, I ain't falling for that shit. But the fact that it does actually say, you know, if I scroll up a bit more now, you can't see it. It actually goes, session activity, successful password reset, sign in blocked account compromise from before. So, obviously, because 4 hours, apparently it took them 4 hours to tell me that someone in Mexico was trying to get in. I have a fixed IP. I mean, it is funny how nearly all of these addresses start with 201. I know. I mean, imagine the damage that someone could do if they got access to your personal details in 4 hours. You know, no offense, I expect better than 4 hours. And of course, one of the other problems is everything you click on goes, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to do this. Well, hang on. So much of it is, oh, you know, you haven't done this, you know, you haven't done that. Well, yeah. I mean, no offense to them, they're going to be severely disappointed. Hang on, let me read this. Probably about a brick, everything. Hang on. It is. It is indeed. Grab that a second. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm quite happy with it. I mean, I am getting a bit fed up. We're going to move to strips for a very good reason. Let me show you my strips. So, this is two strips that I joined together. It's not very flat, but this is two strips that I joined together. The bold line down the middle, the closer you get, actually, the more it disappears, which is a bit weird. But if I need some dark behind it. Hang on. Let me fold this properly. Hang on. Not really. I've got a bit more to do, so I was going to do a bit more. But, for example, there you go, Quicks. If I hold it up, you can actually see there are gaps in the bold line where the join is. What's really, really freaky is that realistically, this, although slightly rectangular, so it's slightly wider but slightly longer, is the same size as a square. This took 2 weeks. This takes a month. I don't get it. But I am definitely going to swap to strips to make... So I've converted this to being half a curtain. It's going to be a half window curtain. Because it is a big difference. And also, of course, technically a lot less sewing. Well, it's not, but it is. It's quite quick to sew together in the way that I have. I'm going to do a couple more strips to kind of check I can't do a better job. So I'm just slightly uncomfortable that I might have bricked my computer a bit because I've turned on two-step authentication, but I don't want to download the Microsoft app. So, yeah. It probably... I mean, it could send me a text code, but I don't think it's gonna. I need to poke with that some more. But it is one of those weird things then that... if you think of how the squares up in the corner, these squares are going to work, I've obviously got to do a hash, right? I've got to do down between them and across. If I do strips, I only do down between them, and I can do, and you do like 1 meter strips, right? And I've worked out, I think I need 7 strips. Each strip is roughly the width of half a square. Hence, it kind of works out. But with the overlap and stuff, it works out about 7. I will need to check the exact numbers before I start. But I do find that for some reason, some of the problems I have with the square, such as putting these threads to the side and then they mingle amongst the pins and catch and drive me mad, doesn't tend to happen on the strips because it's got a roller pillow. And so the threads are kind of down the front, so they're away from the pins a bit more, and gravity pulls things away from the pins a bit more. And because you have space either the side, you can make the piles of bobbins properly, kind of up here out the side rather than stacking them like this. Well, I'm not going to attach them. They're going to be a new curtain, a whole curtain in their own right. So this one will be a half window with squares. And if I so choose later, I could add more squares and make it a whole thing. And then, I don't know how big you thought my windows were. And then, obviously, I'm going to make one out of strips as a whole window thing. Part of the reason I'm struggling with the squares, I think, is A, don't get me wrong, it's going to... I think while I'm doing triangles, it takes me a week roughly to do a triangle. But for some reason, there is something about doing these triangles. I don't know whether it's the combination of the stitches or what. But if I do this tiny triangle took me, the triangle and the cloth stitch underneath it took me an hour and a half or so yesterday. If I'd done that as part of a strip, it's like half an hour. There is something about it speeds up. And some of it is the different bobbins. My hands, maybe. I mean, I've got sore hands because I've also been busy, Quixana. I've been busy. Let me introduce you to these. These are 2 bobbins that I have made. Yes, I made them. Now, I will point out that I haven't actually glued them together yet, so I can pull off the bottom bit. Hang on. It's not wanting to come off now. Well, it's twisting, but it's not. There it goes. So I haven't actually glued them together yet. But now I know why my arms are sore. It's from pushing the beads on. I was wondering why they were sore for doing that. But they started off as these 2 sticks were 1 stick. They are made from. Let me get these. Hang on. Now, I need to explain that I've cut them in half. So, these are made from these. So these were originally like 1 piece that I've chopped in half to make 2 that are about the right size that I wanted. They are little wooden dowels. Now, there's wooden dowels and wooden dowels. There are the other kinds of wooden dowels, which I've got some somewhere. I know where they are. Hang on. Not painted. Even more weird. So there are these. Now these look exactly the same. But these are made out of like reconstituted pulp or something. In that when you look right at the very, very end, and it's not going to show on camera, it looks like it's made of little holes. Do you remember like I think it was the early 2000s, there were people, they used to pick on people with trixophobia, which is the fear of holes, and they'd show like a palm of a hand with like lots of bot-fly holes in it. That's what the end of these look like. These things are really fragile, they splinter, and they're shit. Right? Right? These ones are made out of hardwood. Right? And you colour them you Sharpie them, right? This gives them the beautiful black ebony look, and I bought metal beads to give them weight. So these are actually nice and hefty. I mean, hang on, let me move my mic. Hang on. They have clunkability, right? Because they're made of metal. And so you can wrap them up with a bit of thread, and white thread on black does look very elegant. They look pretty elegant because they're black and silver. They look like little magic wands, right? As I said, I haven't glued them yet, so they move. But I've got enough to make 100, which is enough to do strips for things. Now, I will say that the black does come off initially. Hence, for example, in my incredibly dirty rag, do not judge the rag, I have some half-coloured in ones because I need to do a bit of sandpapering on one end because this little bead here is 4mm while everybody else is 5. So I need to sandpaper it slightly before I colour it, right? And there's a ball bearing glued on the end so that I can wrap the thread around it. But, as you can see, I coloured a handful. Look, there they are. And, oop, I forgot to colour the end one. I have left them to dry out a bit. Well, they are. And, to be honest, they're really quite cost effective. For those who have been following my channel and appeared fairly often, I've mumbled about wanting some ebony bobbins. So I'm just going to colour the one that's not coloured in. Hang on. Because, well, that's a thing. There you go. Coloured it in now. Look. See? No white ends. They do! They do look like little magic ones. And I quite like that about it, actually. I do like the fact that they have this magic wand kind of... But not charcoal. Because obviously charcoal's fragile and well, spreads like the demon. But what I did with these was I put them in my cloth and gave them a good rub, and they don't tend to come off so much. Yes, they do roll pretty well. Not ridiculously so. I can't, like, send them flying, but they do roll. And I was quite careful in my bead selection so that they could turn against each other without catching, because lots of them had little sticky out knobbles that would probably piss me off, because we all know that I'm a little sensitive to things not doing quite what they want. But if I grab me some thread again, because, well, we did this test, but it discoloured quite a lot because, well, that was before I gave it a good rub. But if I do this, for example, she says grabbing a bit of thread, right, and I wrap it round like, oops, my end's fallen off, hang on. As I said, I will glue it, but if I wrap this round, I don't know why I'm doing it properly, but there you go. And then do the magic knot around the ball bearing, it hangs quite nicely, so it's quite solid and so it's got effectively a good rose for the knot to keep away from the working kind of yarn, and they're about the right length. They're slightly long, but only marginally. My other bobbins, she says, looking around for the things. Have you ever noticed you can't see shit when you want it? Where's one that I can get at? Hang on. There's one. So, for example, if I undo this bag, here is some of the bobbins that I do quite like. They're almost identical in length and size. I mean, the actual base of this is about the middle of that, but then the width of this is about the same. So they kind of work out as very similar in length and, funnily enough, weight to these. But, of course, what I can do with these, if I want to, is A, they're cheap. B, I can make new ones. But I can also change my mind. So let's say, for sake of the argument, I decide that I need something here in the middle so that when I put them in sticks, that there's something for it to grip on. Well, I can put stuff on it. I could do something to do that. I mean, it's just kind of... I mean, there is a part of me that says, ignore this little kind of flat one. There is a part of me that says, put this kind of near the middle so that it can sit between here and act as a kind of a holder for the... But because they are quite flat, these will fit really well in here. For I have many beads of metalness to stick on the end, but you get quite a few in one of these sticks, and I don't know, I've always liked ebony as a wood because it's kind of dark and black and miserable, right? Now obviously this is proper black and ebony is not technically black, but one of the things that I do quite like, of course, is I don't have to dye them black. I could use, because I've got different coloured Sharpies, I could use coloured Sharpies. Now, obviously, because they start off as a kind of urine yellow colour, there are colours that aren't going to work, right? I can't do pastel colours on it. That wouldn't work at all. But in terms of, like, you know, I could use other dark colours. So I could have dark blue, dark red, dark green, and make coloured ones. I could add different beads to them. There are some really nice, even by my standards, nice coloured ones that have got like a metal middle, but like an enamel outside, and all swirly, marbly coloured. You could do loads of those and make them coloured. But again, they're about the same size of these big ones at the bottom. So you could do coloured ones. But I really quite like the whole kind of black and silver. You could do black and gold. I mean, you could. But obviously black and metal, cheaper than silver and gold and stuff. Because, of course, it's not actually silver and gold. Some of them are pewter. I think some of them are steel. Which also means that some bits of it, as I recall, are supposed to be magnetic. I thought the ball bearings were magnetic, but they're not picking up. Oh well. But yeah, so I have been busy. But you see, I quite like the look of, if you look at how this looks with thread round it, compared to, say, its pale cousin here, these look like far more class. They look really expensive in comparison. Well, once I've finalised any coating that I'm going to put on these, I am kind of planning a bobbin making stream. Now, there will be swearing, because you end up wearing quite a lot of the Sharpie, is the short answer, which is why I was carefully holding them in my skanky rag. That rag gets used for everything. I mean, literally everything. It's a biohazard in its own right. But it's good for rubbing random things, and it's probably got more chemicals on it than I care to think of. But it's my work cloth, and they're never pretty. But if I'm pretty confident that I like these as they are. I might do a really short test by gluing these tops on and not the bottoms, and then making a bit of lace with it, just a couple of pairs, nothing, literally probably 6 pairs or something, to see how they feel to use, and put them in a stick and see how annoying they are. Because if I need to do something, because one thing I really, really wanted to get is a bit like a metal washer, but not very fat. So I wanted like little metal rings. I really wanted 2 metal rings to kind of go in the middle. But of course you can only buy split rings. I don't want split rings because then it will catch on everything and I'll hate it in like 10 seconds. Now obviously if you had a small, really tiny smouldering iron, you might be able to link them up and smooth it out. But then that takes practice and probably more patience than I possess. Because as we all know, my patience does fry a little bit. So with that in mind, I would want to make something to test before making 100 of the buggers and then hating them. I feel this is a reasonable practice. I'm quite happy with the top. I don't foresee issue with the top. It is the do I need something in the middle. But of course, if I've glued on both ends, I can't really add something to the middle. Whereas if the bottom's just rammed on, as it is, and actually technically only adds weight, it's not really functionally required. I mean, part of me says ditch the thin, shiny bit, because it wouldn't be enough in the middle. So if I did, if I held them like that, so if I put, this sort of like up here like that, to kind of delineate, half and half. I mean, they still look pretty, but they're... Oh, I think I do. I'm really fucked off with doing triangles right now. I've got 4 and most... Well, I've got just under 5 triangles to go. Believe me, because under here, you can't see, I've actually, obviously, as per thing, I've got like just under 5 triangles to go. I am so sick of triangles. And that's the fear, obviously, of doing the strips, is that I'll also get fed up of doing the strips. Because, well, that can be a thing. One thing I had considered is making a design that is 1 metre and a bit long, and in the bit... Thanks, Chrisana. Love you to pieces. But I have considered that if I make... What I could do is basically make 1 strip. But make it, like, forever long, right? And have, like, little gaps so that you trim them in the gaps to make the individual strips. So that I literally just make 1 motherfucking long strip. And there is a point to that. There is a really good purpose for doing that, because obviously, because you'd wind it up at the back, you don't stare at it too long, but obviously it would take a long time. So perhaps not. Individual strips are potentially a good thing, because then you can kind of sew them up a bit as you go. But I am still yet decided on the bobbins, but I am really pleased. I just need to finalise, and as I said, I really wanted to buy like a metal washer to give it a kind of bit of a skirt. Not a hugely thick one. Almost, the size of these ones, but like just the rim edge. 2 thin little strips to sit in the middle so that the elastic can go either side to help hold them in the elastic, but not firmly, just a hint, just so that they're pleasant to hold. But I also think that by having the weight at the bottom like this, the bit that you hold then is smooth. That will feel good, because that is one of the things I quite like about the other bobbins, is the fact that they're not... I mean, I like these because they're smooth, but there's obviously a ridge here, and that doesn't bother me. But again, it's something else I hate about spangles. I've seen plenty of bobbins I wouldn't mind trying, but it gets expensive to keep trying bobbins. There's only so much a girl can do. I just need to actually close that. No, not that. That's not what I want to click on. I want to open that. Just want to open Outlook while I'm still thinking of what I did. I'll have to read that afterwards. That's just really annoyed me. I do love it. I play Path of Exile 2, and I struggled to buy things from their store. And I had a hell of a fight with the company they use as a proxy service. So they use a payment service, a little like most people use PayPal, but their service can use PayPal along with many other things. And they kept rejecting it, and when I asked them, it was things like, well, your account doesn't meet our security advisory. Well, in what way? Oh, I don't know. Well, then don't tell me that it doesn't meet it if you can't tell me how it doesn't meet it. So in the end, I asked to speak to some, a senior member who could tell me a bit more information, and I did get a response. And in short, they turned around and said, well, it's because the currency you're buying in isn't from your country. I bought tons of shit on my PayPal, so don't be telling me PayPal refused it. That's your decision. Oh, yes, but it's a security thing. And I went, I pick English. I know account. I picked English, and you're charging me in dollars. Well, I'm not American. I wrote to the game company on the 17th of Feb. They wrote to me, finally, earlier today. And they went, thank you for your patience. No, darling, I ran out of patience months ago. We're unable to speculate. You'd need to contact the in-between company for clarification. And I wrote back, I'm sorry, but 3 months is a ridiculous wait. Thank you for my patience, doesn't really cut it. And the company have absolutely said it's because you do not charge in the currency of my country, which of course is UK pounds. And they've just written back, thank you for the feedback. I'm sorry about the delays. I'll be sure to pass your comments along for future consideration. What, you don't want the UK ever buying shit from your game? Fine. I really like the game, but if you're going to make it awkward, just don't. Just don't. So yeah, now I've got to do stuff to not count. You missed that some nasty weirdos have been trying to get in my Microsoft account, and have spent days apparently trying, and Microsoft never thought to tell me. So I need to read up on what they call two-step authentication. I'm just going to turn it on and off. Oh no, you didn't give me a QR code to scan, actually. Thanks a lot for not really giving me any real details. But yeah, it seems that they've been trying for days from, well, all over the place, which is a bit weird. But yeah. Let's just kind of bind you together a little bit. Put you in there. Right. Let's get on with this, otherwise we'll never get to the bomb. I was still working at 6 o'clock, so hence I'm a little bit kind of out of sorts this evening. Yay! Hello, Sugar Bear. How you doing? And I worked out, why my arms are sore. It's not from necessarily, well, it probably is partly from cutting the sticks up to make the bobbins. It's more from ramming the beads on the end, because you have to push quite hard. Still, works out the same kind of principle. It's from using muscles in a way that they haven't been done for a while, you know. And I made a little thingy for the stream, but I screwed it up so it doesn't work properly. But it is about sticks. So it kind of goes, hang on. Now I don't know if you hear that. I hope you hear that. But basically, stick, 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 stick. I went off and well, I keep calling them sticks, and it's a bit like I'm a snag. Which I will, when I come to make the strips, I will add that one as well as a thing. But I need to make my stick button work, because although it enables it, I've got to retransition before it kicks it off, which is really irritating. So yeah, I need to do a bit of work on that one. Which is really weird, because all the other things work. So for example, I can turn yawning on and off. And that's all that's really supposed to do. It says hide when stop when active, and start when active, and it's not. So I need to obviously work on that. So yeah, but I do intend to have a bit of a stick, 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 and a hammer snag. Hey, Fliss and V, what time is it? Yeah, I probably should be going soon, but I didn't start till later, so Yes, it's definitely later for you. That's a good thing. I was learning some Oracle shit with my co-worker earlier. We are united in a common cause. You know how it can be. Oh, yes. Was this the item of babysitting arriving? Nah. I so envy you, my friend. I so envy you. But at the same time, I may have solved my need to 3D print bobbins. Nice. In case you haven't guessed, guys, Floos and Fee is currently babysitting a 3D printer. So we can all send temporary envious gruel for the ability to currently print 3D printing shit. Yeah. Absolutely envious. Because, of course, most of us would quite like one. It's a bit like when iPads first came out. Everybody wants one, but no one's really sure quite what they'd do with it. We all want a 3D printer. We all want to try printing a random bunch of tat. But at the same time, no one really wants to buy a decent one. But we all know that a crap one would be crap. So... And as I say, it's very much the iPad. We all wanted an iPad, but we now all use our phones. But we all wanted an iPad, but we didn't really quite know what we'd use them for. But we wanted one. We were discussing this when they came out at work. I remember when iPad ones came out and we were discussing it. And it's like there wasn't a single one of us who didn't want one. Well, you'll also, of course, have the experience of knowing a few things to look for, knowing some of the things that maybe coincide with the things that you want to make. So, for example, as we all know, it's not just that. I mean, if we think of average bobbin, right? It can print bobbins, right? But there's two ways of doing it. There's the heated filament ones, and then there's like the gel ones. And the gel ones tend to have smoother results, but you've got to put them in you've got to like spray them with shit and wipe them and all manner of crap. But it is also really tempting. But they do tend to only... Yeah, it looks like gel though, if you know what I mean. It doesn't quite look like... Because for some of us, if you think of resin... Yeah, I mean, a friend of mine does do resin pouring. So a bit like Caitlin and Evan, if you've ever watched that shit on YouTube. That's what most people think of as resin, not the kind that you use for 3D printing. So... Hence, I tend to call it more of a gel. It's more of a resin gel, isn't it? But I know Ox, for example, Sugarbear would probably... I don't know what he's got, because he's got 3D printers. But, you know, there are a few crafters who have got them, and they make all manner of stuff, like yarn bowls and the like. And I've never forgotten the look on my friend's face. He was so proud. He showed me something, and it was basically a ball inside of a ball, right? But it was kind of like a mesh ball, so you could see in it. And so it was kind of like, almost like the basketball hoop stripes with like joiny bits, and then inside a smaller one, right? And he said, I bet you can't think how that's done. And I went, it's 3D printed. Look on his face. You could tell that all he wanted to do was scream, you bitch, how did you know? Well, first of all, I remember watching 3D printers back in the 70s and 80s, or whenever it was, on Tomorrow's World. I also remember Thorn EMI doing the e-ink technology that are in Kindles now on Tomorrow's World. So it is kind of weird that I'm an old enough fart that I've seen some of this shit turn into reality. But it was really interesting, having seen these as I wasn't that young a child, but I was a child. Yes. One of the things that I find really fascinating, printing of chainmail. There is a bit of me that seriously wants to print big ass piece of chainmail. I just have this want, because especially if you make it out of one of those kind of like dual chrome filament things, I just think that a 3D printed chainmail in two different, in kind of shifting colours. Move over, fidget toys. I've got a new friend. I just could kind of really do with that. I mean, there are lots of things I would love to make with a 3D printer. Sticks, bobbins, things to hold bobbins in, contraptions such as a bobbin winder, because the one I've got is really nice, don't get me wrong. Have I ever shown you all my bobbin winder? Now, one thing I will warn you is it does look a little bit like a medical contraption gone wrong. Because the moment I say speculum to people, you'll know what this is going to look like. So, this is my bobbin winder. And obviously, I clamp it to my table with this clamp at the bottom. And then you spin the thing. But not all bobbins go in here well. Which reminds me, I was going to see how well one of these bobbins fits before I glue it all together. Now, obviously, in terms of... so, for example, I don't know how well these will hold because they are made of fairly flimsy dowel. Hang on. Oh, actually, they fit really quite nicely. So now it looks even more like some form of space gun. But here you go, windy windy. It's held reasonably firmly. It could do with being firmer, but it holds it, and it's not like you put a lot of tension on it, so it's really not that bad. Doesn't seem to damage them, which is the other choice that it had. But obviously some bobbins don't fit in here very well at all because they're too fat. To be honest, these are kind of those, because if I put these in, they're a bit big and they sit funny, but they do sit in there. But they can be a bit of a bitch to get in and out. You put it back on my desk, hang on. And there are other types of bobbin winders, and there's actually one which I need to try the technique, because the idea is, and let's use this bobbin that I've got a tiny bit of string on. You get a magic pin, such as this one, chonk, right? Put it in, you put this round here, and this round here, and then you slide this up so that this has the tension and it winds it on, and then you pull it back and you wind it on and it pulls it back, and you pull it back and then you wind it on, and you do it over a bigger distance obviously, but you effectively wind it on by allowing this to friction against the actual bobbin, and it winds it up that way, and you can see my top's just come off. This is why, of course, you have to glue them before it's a final product. But I'll give it a bit more of a shove. But that is one way of doing it, and obviously all you really need is a chunkier pin, which is quite nice. Yeah, having rubbed these with my minging cloth, because that's the only thing you can really call that, the colour doesn't seem to be coming off half as much now. And it was a good speculation that because this thing is huge and it stinks to high heaven, that it was over pigmented, so that as it dries off on the actual bobbins, it forms almost like a dust layer on top that comes off. And so, as the predominance of lace, of course, is white, you don't really want black rubbing off on it. I do have somewhere, it's gone walkabout, but I do have somewhere a tiny scrap of thread that I originally put on it and gave it a good rub up and down the bobbin, and it looked like I wiped my butt on it. It was black as a coal miner's hands. It was really not good. And so, you know, if I'd gone to make lace with that, I'd have been devastated, because I'd have got part way through and there'd be great chunks of blackness where it had, you know, worn off. So that's not, you know, it's quite important to me that obviously it doesn't rub off. So there is a good chance I'm going to spray it with a light varnish, or somebody else suggested PVA glue, because that can dry, but then that will dry a bit shiny. I don't really want it to be shiny. So I don't know. I'm a little bit dubious about either of those. So it is up yet for grabs. I mean, obviously, if I can rub it all enough that it doesn't come off anymore, then I'm going to feel fairly confident that it's, you know, down to its last few atoms and not really a problem. But what you really don't need is then a hot, sweaty day and for it all to come off in your hands, you know, and then all over your work. So there is a little bit of a concern. But the lady who told me how to make them, who made them this way, she didn't use metal beads, but she did kind of basically make the same things. She used Sharpie and it's never come off. Well, it seems slightly weird to me that her Sharpie didn't come off, because Sharpies are heavily pigmented. So I really honestly would have expected that to happen. And in fact, that's part of the reason that I thought to check for it is, well, A, I've been bitten by that with coloured wax before, but also it's a Sharpie. It's got more colour than is common sense. Of course it will. Now, one of the other things that would be quite cool, I don't know if you know about it, but there's a paint. So there is the world's blackest paint, and there's kind of a bit of a competition. One is made by some uptight buttwipe who won't sell it to people, and then there's one made by Stuart Simple, who basically you have to sign a disclaimer when buying it that you are not this arsehole, right? Everyone can buy it except for this arsehole. And basically, that's possibly the one. I know it's got a strange name, right? But Stuart Simple's one is almost as black, but obviously affordable. And other than having to sign a disclaimer to claim you're not some weirdo dude, I am quite tempted by that. Because, well, it really truly does suck the light. I do actually have some. Not a lot, but I do have some. So I am quite tempted by that. I also got his Pinkest Pink. I don't know why I bought some, but I bought his Pinkest Pink as well. But I am quite tempted by the idea of painting them blackest black and then like a matte varnish on top. I think that could be quite cool. Because obviously then they really... But I think part of it is the joy of seeing the wood grain and the black. Because you can see it. I mean, maybe not on camera, but, you know, in person you can see the wood grain. And so I think to an extent that is... It makes it look more like ebony than just black paint. And knowing, of course, that it's... The Stuart Simple one is almost as dark. Let me find you the website for it. Something like Black 2.0 or something. Hang on. Yeah, you're not... Note, by adding this product to your cart, you can confirm that you're not Anish Kapoor, and you are no way associated to Anish Kapoor. You are not purchasing this on behalf of him or an associate of. Take care, Fleece and V. But it is a matte black, and so I am really quite tempted by that. It really does eat light. Oh, they made a new black by the looks of it. Hang on. There's black 4.0 apparently. Yeah, they've now made they've made black 4.0. Well, but it's also ridiculously black. So it really will suck the life out of everything. I mean, if you look at this one, it's, you know, again, you have to prove that you're not Anish, you know, you have to confirm you're not Anish Kapoor. But it is the kind of thing, I am really tempted. Just because, well, why not? I like the idea. I do feel that it might be a little too black, maybe, for bobbins. But at the same time, hey, if you're going to go, do it, you know, do it, why not do it well, you know. I've got black 2.0, I've got a small bit of black 2.0. But the fact that it's matte and it really does absorb a lot of light, it is kind of phenomenal, really. Here you go. The original Darkest Black is Black made for artists. This ultimate so black 4.0 absorbs at least 99% of light. Now that is what you want in a friggin'... That's a bit more expensive, admittedly, but 2.0 is not bad. As I said, he makes some weird shit. For some reason, he really does make some weird shit. But hats off to the dude, because he got pissed off that this guy, Anish Kapoor, had been gatekeeping, you know, black that absorbed loads of light. So he set about making his own and making it available to everyone as long as they weren't the idiot who was gatekeeping. That's my kind of petty. That's, you know, I respect that petty. Salute to that guy. Because it's the kind of thing I'd want to do. If I could get my own back by making one and marketing it and, you know, making it, you know, cost effective and all that, I so would do that. For everyone except insert name here, who basically was a knob along the way, you know. I kind of like that. That, as I say, that's my kind of petty, dude. So yeah, a lot of respect for that dude, for sure. So yeah, I am quite tempted. The only core issue would be the fact that it would bulk my bobbin slightly, whereas obviously Sharpie is more of a stain, shall we call it? Doesn't really bulk the. Again, it's all workable if you try hard enough, you know. Yeah, I can't remember how I came across this guy. I assume it was some bloody ad on Facebook, most likely. But I liked the principle. You know, I think his original advert for Black 2.0 was, I saw what this guy had done. I envied what he'd done. But because he was gatekeeping it, I set out to do my own. And now that everyone can have it except Danish Cabal. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, it very much is a personal petty. But the fact that he's now made another one that's actually even darker than the Muso or whatever it is, black, then yeah. Proud of the dude, you know. I mean, he's obviously got a team of people helping, I'm sure, but I am kind of proud of the dude. Not only did you make a fairly pretty damn black is black kind of product, and so that the other dude can't buy it, you've now bettered it, and you still don't want him to have it. Part of me wants to do something like paint my car in it, just for a laugh. I don't think this one does. I saw some YouTube videos on it. I'm pretty sure this one doesn't. What is quite cool is that there is another paint. I don't think it's by these guys, but there is another paint which is fluorescent. And that it is so fluorescent that, well, I think it was one of the Mythbusters guys painted like a large cupboard in it, shone a light in it for a bit, closed the door, and literally light was bursting out of the seams of this thing. And that, you know, it's a light obviously you can't turn off. So it was kind of interesting, the idea of, again, you know, paint your car with it, you know, or your bicycle or something, you know. Spray the dog with it. No, I wouldn't hurt the dog. But you know what I mean. Just for a laugh. In theory, you know. Make it a raincoat out of it or something, you know. Rory, if we made you a black 4.0 coat, you really would be invisible. Yeah. Yeah, I'm contemplating, and I haven't achieved a lot today. I was trying to help Silver of Dragon earlier work out how to do something for his pattern earlier. I understand. Hang on. I'm gonna start this one. Nah, I understand. You don't want to play with my water snake. You don't want me to play with it. Fair enough. Good for you. I'm glad you found a method that will work. That's a good thing. Fair enough. This is a good thing. playing with something. Bear with me a sec. That in the wrong place, didn't I? So I want to do that here, and I want to poke that, yep. Oh, apparently not. Where was that? Okay. Cancel. Don't need to do that. Yes. Yep. Shrink that down a bit, like that. Now, let's go to here and do that, and then change that to that, and kill that, and see if this works. It is, but it's not, if you see what I mean. Hang on, okay. Let me do that. That's not working either. That's kind of weird. I wonder how everyone else does it then. Okay, let me try something else then. Yeah, let's kill that. Giant. Okay. Add that, add that. Browse, add the thing. Show when it becomes active. Show nothing when playback ends. Close the file when inactive. Yeah. Hang up. Order. Bring to top. I now need to shrink that a little bit. Yeah, I'm struggling a bit with it not showing in the OBS. Remove that. Yeah, remove that. I'm struggling that it doesn't show when it's in the preview, so I can't resize it, and I don't get the options to set sizes on it. Properties. Yeah, I don't get any size options on it. At the same time, so that means I'm struggling to place it anywhere. Okay, actually there might be another way of doing it. Hang on. Yeah, it's just been really weird. And I know that, for example, Ox has done it. So I know it's possible. And I, you know, clearly I am missing something obvious. So let me put that in it. Okay. And make that small. And make that big. Right. So that's there. And height. I'll show you that. See, that's where it should be. That's fine. But what I need to do now, you see, it's not gone away, which is, even though I turned it off, it's not gone away. So it's really weird in that it's kind of disjointed, and I don't quite understand why. But let me try this then. So that needs to be media source control. Don't ask me again. Yes. Title stick. Play stop. Yes. Source media stop. Right. But you're not giving me a chance to pick up what? The fuck? I'm confused. I'm confused. Well, it must be it. It shows in there, but it's not showing in here. But it does in the preview window, but not the actual window. The fuck? Works perfectly in the preview window. Does not. Oh, there you go. There you go. Works now. Right. Nobody breathe. Stick is now working. Stick is working. We like the fact that stick is working. It's interesting that it's interesting that it seems to have eaten the advert countdown, but now my stick works, which is a good thing. I think it's because I transitioned, the reason it's eaten the thing. So there, Rory, we fixed stick. Yay! I'm happy now. I feel at one with the stickness. Yes, I have fixed the stick. It goes stick, 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 stick. Yes, it does. And it's only 5 seconds, so it should mean I don't get copyright strikes. Yes. You need to make sure it's not set to loop or something. Which it currently is, which I don't. Close when inactive. That should be good. So if I hit stick, how long does it play for? It should be 5 seconds. And then it goes away again. Yay! It all works. I feel good now. You are hearing the music that it's saying stick, 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 aren't you? Someone please tell me you can hear it. And it's not just the... That's alright then. Because it would be a bit pointless without, wouldn't it? That's good, that's good. I feel happy now. Yay! Actually, that's a good point. No, it's not showing my ads thing. Or shame. Normally it puts an ad counter in the top left hand corner and it's not doing that. I did notice it had disappeared. Have I eaten it? Did I delete it? No. Got a feeling it might not like the position of it. Yeah. It's interesting, it's got the other bits, but it doesn't have... It's interesting, it's not... It's not showing the ad countdown. Don't know why my ad thing isn't working. Let me try something. Hang on. Where's my thing? Other thing, that thing. For goodness sake. There it is. did show it briefly and then it disappeared. What happens then if I put that there and go back to that? Does it show now? I see it flicker. How weird. My thing, there it is. I was looking for the wrong thing, that's why. So let's go back and put stick where it should be. Stick is where it should be, that's right. So if I go back to here and turn you on, you do show when you're in the mood. Right. So the next question is, why did you suddenly not do this? I assume it just got a bit confused, to be honest. Right. Let's go back and finish this, otherwise we'll be here all bloody night. Alright. bent one. Right, time for the ubiquitous There we go. Right. All the excitement. Right, so it's been a roller coaster evening, what with people trying to break into my Microsoft account and all the rest of it. But I'm glad to have had you along the way. I will be back here hopefully tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed it, and don't forget, of course, to good night, everybody. Take care.